So when you're lean, people notice. I mean, like no shit, right? People notice when you're lean. Out of everybody in the world nowadays, out of the crowd, out of everyone, people will always notice you if you're lean. So the other day, we installed some T-Mobile fiber internet in the house because it's faster. And so we got that done. And the gentleman that came over to the house to install it, he was roughly my age, right? Like 2 years younger than me, you know? And obviously, I'm like wearing this, right? This is what I'm wearing. This is what I'd be looking like. You know, I open the door, talk to the gentleman, be like, hey man, how's it going? Yeah, I'll show you around the house, you know? This, like, he tells me where he's gonna install the wires and whatnot and stuff. And then, so he's like in and out of the house, right? Doing his thing. And then here I am just like asking him, like, if he needs anything, if he needs me, just, you know, let me know, holler, give me a call, whatever, you know. And then at some point, like while he was finishing up, setting up, installing everything, he starts asking me about, he starts showing me pictures about when he was younger, when he used to go to the gym. He showed me a picture of like some steroid use and stuff like that. And now, like, this guy, he's a tall dude. Like, I think he might be over 6 feet, right? Like, he's a tall dude. You can tell, like, you can tell, like, he had like a football kind of build, you know, but you can tell that he hasn't been in the gym in like 10 years. And he's got like a belly going on, right? And so he's like showing me pictures of him going to the gym, of him like almost injecting a steroid, like almost injecting whatever this black shit that he has in a syringe, you know? He tells me it's steroids. That shit looks like heroin, bro. That shit looks like heroin. But anyways, so he shows me all these pictures, right? And we just start talking about, you know, how he used to go to the gym and all the sports that he would play, how he would play futsal, and like he would ask me if I would play any sports and stuff like that, you know. And then he asked me how old I was, and then he told me how old he was, and then I told him how old I was, and then he looked at me like, damn, for real? You know, like, I'm only a couple years older than you, bro, and I look better shape than you do. I'm in better shape than you are, you know? And this guy's a tall dude, you know? This guy, if he really put in the work, he would really have the build, you know? And I told him that before he left for the day, right? Finished up his work, and as he was heading out, you know, I was just like, hey man, you should get back into it, man. You have a good build. You know, you feel like you can fill up that frame pretty well. You know, and I felt like it gave him some inspiration, you know, put a smile on his face before he left, you know. And I feel like that's all it takes. It's just like some encouragement, you know. Like, we all fall back, we all get comfortable, we all push shit aside, we all procrastinate, you know. So all I'm saying is that when you're lean, you're also not just, you know, like, people may think of you like, oh, you know, so this dude's got muscles, dude works out, he's probably cocky, he's probably egotistical, he's probably narcissistic or whatever. Come on, we are all narcissistic to an extent. You know, we all got some narcissism in us, you know. We all want ourselves to look good. We all want ourselves to look better. We all want ourselves to, you know, look like we are at the top shape of our lives ever, right? That's what we all want. We all want what is best for ourselves. Appearance-wise, like, hands down, appearance-wise, say no more, man. Say no more. Who doesn't want a good-looking body? You know, find me a person right now in this world who doesn't want a good-looking body. Like, find me a person right now who don't care if they're fat as shit, sitting on the couch, you know, can't move, you know, having to use the freaking electric wheelchair every time they go to Walmart. You know, tell me someone that wants a life like that, right? So I'm saying, like, if you're lean, people are gonna start wanting to talk to you. People are gonna notice. People are gonna ask you shit. You know, people want to get some insight. People are gonna want to know how old you are. You know, I'm sure people want to know how old I am all the damn time. You know, if they see me, got a house, family, you know, the car that I always wanted to get since I was in high school. You know what I mean? You know, and now that I got that life situated for me, and I'm getting my body back, You know, people will notice, and people will ask you questions. People will ask you advice, opinions, all that shit. You know, people will just ask you. You know, people will just want to be your friend. You know, for example, I had another guy. He's an older gentleman, security guard, works at my wife's pharmacy, you know what I mean? And so every time I go visit my wife with my daughter, bring my daughter in to visit her mom, you know, I'm always kind of like hesitant because like, oh, is that security guard guy there? Is that security guard guy there? Because he's always wanting to spark up a conversation with me, man. You know what I mean? He's always wanting to talk to me. And don't get me wrong, I like to share my advice. I like to share what I do. You know, I like to inspire people. I like to tell people like, hey man, you can do it. You got it. It's never too old. You do something, you know, at least, you know, build a little bit of muscle. I know you old, you can't build muscle anymore as good as when you were young, but if you build a little bit of muscle, at least you got something, right? At least you got something, you know? So every time I run into this guy at my wife's pharmacy, he's a security guard there. He's always asking me about like nutrition, what I take, what I do. You know, I told him about jumping on creatine. Not only will it help with your muscle performance, but it will also help with your memory performance, right? You know, and he started on creatine, started telling me the benefits that he was experiencing, you know. And then last time I saw him, you know, and then like another thing when you're lean, man, people will just want to touch you when you were lean. You know, this guy, he came up to me, he like gave me like a little gesture like that, you know, on the arm. And he was just like, oh, this is something that I want right here, man. This is something that I want right here, you know. And so people look at me and be like, it's the body you want. These are the arms you want, you know. Then show me that you want it. Go out and get it, you know. Don't talk about it and then get off your job, go home, sit on the couch, eat a TV dinner, and then hit the hay, right? You know what I mean? You know, if you want it, go out and get it. Nothing is stopping you, bro. Nothing is stopping you, man. Who's stopping you? Who's stopping you? Like, who's stopping you? You know, you stopping you. That's who's stopping you. You are stopping yourself. You know what I mean? So, I can inspire anyone, everybody. I can give them all the nutrition advice, all the workout advices, everything. I can give you all that shit, right? But if you ain't gonna do nothing with it, then why am I telling you everything that I know? Why am I telling you my 2 cents? Why am I giving you my advice? Why am I giving you my opinions? You know what I mean? Because I want to inspire you. You know, like I can see you see me seeing that you want the body that I have. You know, and I know it's inspiring you because you up here sparking a conversation out of nowhere, suddenly randomly just walk up to me and be like, hey man, I got a question to ask you, man. How old are you? You know, like what gym do you go to? What do you eat, man? You know, do you supplement? What kind of supplements do you use? You know what I mean? So when you're lean, people will just gravitate towards you. That is a fact. That is truly 100% fact. Unless you're like lean, muscular, and you're just fucking cocky as fuck, being a douchebag to everybody, you know, then shit, I don't know, man. But like me, I don't want to speak about myself. I don't want to speak on my character, you know, because I feel like that's something that I should just let reveal out naturally and organically to the world. But as a pharmacist, as someone who's in the healthcare profession, now I know there's a lot of assholes in the healthcare professions, but as someone who's committed to making that money from the pharmacy, I gotta put on my professional face. I got, you know, to have that non-judgment, non-egotistical, non-cockiness attitude to everything, you know. Like when you come up to me, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, so you know, like this is the gym that I go to, supplements that I go to, you know. I don't act like I know everything, you know. I usually be like, you know, this is what I've learned, this is what I've seen, this is what I've heard, you know, and I just been implementing it in my own routine, and this is what works, you know. That's all I do, bro. That's all I do, man. No egotistical bullshit, no cockiness, no trying to show up, you know, no like, oh yeah, this is my bench, blah, 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 this is, you know, this is how heavy I lift. None of that bullshit, right? Because nobody gives a fuck about that. Nobody cares about that shit, you know? Nobody cares about how heavy you going, right? Yeah, you can lift the heaviest in the gym, but then if you fuck yourself, if you injure yourself, that's game over. Nobody's gonna see you in the gym for the next 6 weeks, bruh. You know what I mean? You know, and like I remember having some like older gentlemen too. You know, I would go to the gym with my cousin. We would work out, you know, and we would have these older gentlemen come up to us and just like, you know, like, yeah, back in my young days, yada, 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 you know, and then they still think that they're young, you know, like, you just can't think that you're still young when you, like, approach a bunch of young people at the gym, you know, like, yeah, we were in our 20s, and his gentleman's in his, like, late 40s, 50s, you know, and he's trying to, like, I don't know, I guess he was trying to just to, you know, show that he's still got it, but, you know, he ended up injuring himself, and then I haven't seen him we haven't seen him in the gym ever since, you know. So all I'm saying is that the functional strength training, that's what you want. You want the body, functional strength training, functional diet. You want the body that, you know, is functional. You want the body that looks good. You want the body that appeals. You want the body that's not too big, right? Because if your body's too big, even if you're muscular, you know, you still gotta buy new clothes. You know, you're probably still gonna have a hard time wiping your own ass, right? And it's probably even harder to wipe your own ass because, like, how squishy is muscle compared to fat? You know what I mean? So when you're lean, people will just gravitate towards you. People will just want to talk to you, you know, because it just makes them feel good to know that, you know, someone with that kind of body is actually giving them the attention, you know, even if they're just asking for advice or whatever, you know. And they'll, like, sometimes they'll just randomly sneak it in, you know. They'll just start off a conversation, something completely unrelated, you know, and they'll weave back to, like, what they ultimately want to hear from you. It's like, man, how'd you get that body? You know, what is your diet like? What is your nutrition like? Like, what gym do you go to? What do you work out? You know? Like, I'm a short dude, bro. Like, I'm a short-ass dude, you know? So, you know, I'm not 6 feet. I'm not even 5'9", bro. You know, I'm between 5'4" and 5'5", so I'm short as fuck, you know? And people, I even got 6 feet dudes coming up to me asking me, like, hey, man, like, what do you do in the gym, man, you know? So it doesn't matter how short you are, it doesn't matter how tall you are, you know, you just gotta put in the work and do it. If you ain't gonna put in the work and do it, don't expect nothing, you know, don't expect anything, because you ain't gonna get nothing. You ain't got nothing, you ain't getting nothing. If you ain't doing nothing, you ain't getting nothing. That's all I gotta say, bruh, so peace. Alright, what's good, everybody? I finished my run. 11 minutes and 24 seconds per mile. So 22 minutes and 52 seconds for my 2-mile run. Damn it. Total calories, 228, 194 active calories. Average heart rate, 165 beats per minute. And then elevation gain, 116 feet. So just want to let y'all know, I do hilly runs up and down, just like my weights. You know, and I live in Albuquerque, so we're kind of a mile high above. Yeah. Whew. Man, freaking exhausted, bro. Whew. So yeah, if you guys aren't sweating like this every other day, what are you doing with your life? What are you doing with your life? That just took me like 20 minutes. 22 minutes and 52 seconds to be exact, to run it. I'm sure you guys got 30 minutes in the day somewhere. I'm sure you guys do. Goddamn. Anyways, I need to cool down. I'll catch you guys later.